Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, Rhonda Britton. Rhonda, how are you feeling today?
I am fantastic because that's what you got to be when you want to live a fearless life.
I agree with that. What how do you overcome fear?
Well, fear is fear is fear. So, how you overcome it is how I overcome it. I've created a model called the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom. And so I help people find that core trigger, the real prison that they're stuck in, that they are unaware of. Because we are wired for fear and our neurobiology is we're wired for fear. So, what your number one fear is, trust me, you do not know what it is. And that's why I created the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom.
Oh, tell me more because I think I could pinpoint it, but I'm probably wrong now.
You are probably wrong because most people think like, well, I was called lazy my whole life, so that's my fear, or I don't like rejection, so mine's fear of rejection. And again, those might be it, but really how the wheel of fear works is, and how our body and brain work is it is an expert. The body and brain are an expert and making sure you don't see what I call your core trigger is. Because if you see it, it can't keep you safe. And fear's job and only job is to keep you safe, is to keep you alive. So the way
Oh,
that we solve our problems in our everyday life is, we have a problem and what fear wants us to do, and what we automatically do if we are not awake is we look in the past, quick as a bunny, to try to find the solution to the present problem to create a new future. And we all know how that works. But it's also why we feel like a hamster on a treadmill when life isn't working for us, right? We just feel like why am I here again? Why am I here again? Well, it's that lovely wheel of fear who knows everything about you, as smart as you are, as educated as you are, as spiritual as you are, and knowledgeable as you are. And it takes all that knowledge to keep you a little bit safe and stuck so you don't do anything crazy.
I I I, I kind of don't like myself now. Like I'm doing all this stuff to stay healthy and take care of it so I can help other people and all this.
As you
In the
should.
meantime, it's like no, no, we're gonna keep you right here.
No, it wants you. And it's going to give you a leash depending on how safe you can be. So let's put it this way. Let's say there's 9 areas of life, right? You got the money area, the intimate relationship, the family, et cetera, the career. So if you think about those areas, you might already be fearless and living on what I call the wheel of freedom in 8 out of 9 areas of your life. So yay for you, right? I want you to think about, and for everyone with us, I want you to think about the area that's not working for you, because that's where your wheel of fear has you. The wheel of freedom wants you to live a great life. It wants you to be amazing. It wants you to live a long time. It wants you to be happy and joyful, etc. It wants you to live your purpose. It wants you to live the life your soul intended. So just think about, as we're talking about fear today, think about the areas that are not working for you, because that's where fear has you.
Okay, you got me thoroughly intrigued, and I just want to ask you and make mention of your new book, The Freedom Code. Are these in there?
Yes, they are. It's actually the very first books. I have 4 books. It's the very first book that actually has all the different types of fear that can be, as well as all of the answers. And so
I like
you
that.
actually can take a quiz and discover what your core fear is.
Now you
And
got
it's
me
the
really
first time
intrigued
I've
because,
ever done it. First time.
well, thank you for making it available because you got me intrigued. I'm going, it's maybe one, two, or three, the
It's
secondary or
really
tertiary.
that's correct. That's correct. So
So do I
people
really not have a fear of the primary? Is that how it works?
Well, I'll just use mine for instance. Okay, so I'll give you what mine is. So the Wheel of Fear has 4 components, and my core trigger, I, Rhonda Britton, my core trigger is loser. And what does that mean? What does a core trigger mean? What does loser mean? Well, if I go all underneath the rejection and the failure and loss and uncertainty and not good enough, all those other quote unquote fears, underneath them all, what's really driving me is my definite undesire and would die if you actually thought I was a loser or perceived me as a loser or said I was a loser or I thought that of myself, right? Because my deepest darkest secret, unbeknownst to me by the way, when I discovered this, I was shocked. I would never have guessed this for myself because this is what fear does. Fear makes sure that you would never guess it. because okay, wait a minute. I got a full ride to college. I was class president. I was the leading scorer of the basketball team. How could I be a loser, right? So we have these things called fear responses, which I can share more about. And our fear responses make sure that you never actually uncover the thing that's driving those fear responses. So my life, I've never been called a loser my whole life. Nobody's ever thought it,
I
said
can't
it
even
around
imagine
me.
that.
Right? Thank you for saying that. But that is, if I look at my life, whenever I am, procrastinating, overwhelmed, people pleasing, perfectionist, comparing, judging, controlling, feeling entitled, et cetera, et cetera, any of those fear responses, what's really going on, if I look back, if I stop, because now I know my wheel of fear, I stop and I go, okay, wait, where is loser showing up here? And it always shows up. And it's shocking, but it's mind blowing and it's exciting. And it's what it does is the wheel of fear and the wheel of freedom takes away the blame and shame that you place on yourself for not being good enough and melts that away because that is not what's happening. Fear is a mechanism. And once you understand that fear is a mechanism, it's not you that's procrastinating. It's fear that's saying, oh, we got to get her to procrastinate. And so it gives you permission, so to
Mm.
speak, to procrastinate, right? But you don't know it. So you think, oh, what's my problem? Why am I procrastinating? I really want to do this project. So you beat yourself up, put yourself down, which again emboldens fear and says, oh, good, I've got her distracted. I've got him distracted. And therefore, now his self esteem or her self esteem is going down, which is awesome for me because then she won't do anything crazy.
That's crazy because
It's
uh,
awesome. It's
it
awesome.
is, and especially when you overcome it. But you got me thinking a while back. Like I had a huge issue with that. I was picked on as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So when you made mention of that loser thing or not enough, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I literally made a video in college called Today's Gift. Like, what are you doing with today's gift? And it was a really cool video how it
Mm-hmm.
worked out. But I made it for me because it was like, I realized today's a gift. What am I doing with
That's
it?
right.
And the answer was nothing.
Yeah.
And but I had all these like dreams and aspirations and goals and everything. And I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah,
Like,
there's
I
nothing wrong
want
with
to
you.
help you,
Yeah, that's right.
but I
There's
also
nothing wrong
can't
with
do
you.
anything. Like, what?
That's right. But there's nothing wrong with you. And that's the trick. That is the trickery of the wheel of fear. Because the wheel of fear is doing this not to hurt you or to harm you. The wheel of fear actually loves you. It actually wants to keep you safe. It just doesn't know that you're a 42-year-old, 53-year-old, 38-year-old, you know, uh, accomplished person in other areas of your life. It just goes, okay, wait, something bad's going to happen, and I've got to protect them. So you've got to retrain your wheel of fear. And that's why I created the wheel of freedom. The wheel of freedom retrains your wheel of fear.
I like
And
that.
the wheel of freedom is also those aspects of you that go into hiding, right? So part of us hides, goes away when we are responding to the wheel of fear. There's a part of us that isn't safe. So we like tuck that away. So you can think about, for me, I'll tell you what mine is. My essential nature on the wheel of freedom is authentic. Now, I just want you to take a second to think about this. If my deepest fear underneath it all, underneath like my core trigger on the wheel of fear is loser, but the way out for me is my essential nature on the wheel of freedom, and that's authentic. Think about that because my wheel of fear tells me if I'm authentic, everybody will know I'm a loser. So those things are not opposites. So when a self-help person or, personal development person says, do the opposite, you're afraid to be a loser, be a winner. No, you're just acting out of fear again. It looks prettier, it
Mm.
sounds nicer, but you're literally just responding from fear because you're trying to get away from fear. We don't want to get away from fear. We want to transcend fear. And we don't
Lean
want to do
into
the
it.
opposite, right? We don't want to do the opposite, right? We want to do something that really sets us free. So me being authentic is my way out of my wheel of fear. And it's the very thing that the wheel of fear says, well, then now everyone's going to think you're a loser. And I have to be like, so be it.
Ooh, confidence.
Well,
Okay,
confidence only comes
so
from
is
risks, as
this
you know.
from the like nervous system? Is it the brain? What is like on a I guess it would be a medical level. What is triggering all this? Because it's like I want to punch it in the face, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to hurt myself
Well, I
because
want you just
it's
to,
us.
right. Well, it's part of our neurobiology. So
Mm.
we are meant to stay alive. Okay. So think about that.
But there's no
We know
saber
that,
tooth
right?
tigers anymore, as cool as they'd be. Like,
Yes, I understand. But there's also what we don't know and what we're really not aware of is for the sake of this conversation, there's two types of fears, our physical fears and our emotional fears.
oh,
Now,
okay,
most of
because
us,
we haven't
right?
gone deep enough.
Right. So we talk about our physical fears. Like if people say I'm from Fearless Living, they always go, "Oh, well, I'm not afraid. I hike and I scuba dive." And I go, "No, no, 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 no. No, that's instincts and yes, physical fears. But you and I can probably say to ourselves, hey, I don't like snakes, Mario." And you're like, "Yeah, me neither." And we don't really judge each other for that, right? We don't judge each other if we're afraid of heights. But emotional fears are the things that drive us each and every day and the very thing that we do not understand. So, physical fears we can name, we can look at. And oh, by the way, most of us can avoid our physical fears every day, but we cannot avoid our emotional fears. And so, those emotional fears are what is driving us. And this Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom are talking about our emotional fears. And I want to say that the emotional fears that you have, the Wheel of Fear, knows everything you know. They are smart as you are, as knowledgeable as you are, as educated as you are, and as spiritual as you are. So it knows everything that you know. So think of AI, right? AI knows everything. You fill it with information, it knows everything you know. That's the Wheel of Fear. It knows everything you know. So it just gets quicker, smarter, cleverer,
It adapts.
more subtle as you get more awake. So as you get more knowledgeable, as you get more evolved, it just gets really, really subtle and it's harder and harder to see because you're more and more living on your wheel of freedom.
Where more people should be.
Well, that's exactly where we want them to be. And that's where people want to be. But they still buy into the voice of the wheel of fear because the wheel of fear, again, knows everything about you. So it says exactly what you need to hear, what you need to hear in order to stop yourself. So I have something that I call stretch, risk, or die. And you and I both know that in order to gain confidence, we must take risks.
Hmm.
So on the wheel of fear, we must take stretch, risks, or dies. Well, the wheel of freedom, the wheel of freedom, excuse me, the wheel of fear is like taking those stretch, risk, and dies. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. So it again doesn't know the difference between emotional fears and physical fears. And you also know, I know from neurobiology that our body and brain don't know the difference between real and imagined. So there, and oh, by the way, and there's one other thing that's now neuroscience is telling us
What's that?
that our fears may be handed down through our DNA. So
Oh,
your
good.
so your greatest fear, what your wheel of fear is, may have nothing to do with your upbringing, how you were raised, that event that happened to you when you were two. It might be completely something else that's been handed down. So when people are looking for why am I like this? It's like you may never know the why.
And you never had a
Instead,
choice,
you never had a choice.
but you
That's
do have
right.
a chance.
Well, you do have a choice now, and you do have a chance now. Yes, because now you have a tool. If you are attracted to it, if you have a tool called the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom, now you know what's happening to you. It's no longer confusing. I know for me, that's what I was. I was confused. Like, why am I like this? Why am I amazing here and not here? Why can't I get this together? What's wrong with me? Well, all of those questions now disappear.
How do we help bridge the gap for people and get them on the freedom wheel?
Well, that's a great question. So I have created that quiz that's going to actually tell you gives you I should say a good indication. It's going to get you close, may hit it right on. It's going to let you know what your core trigger is. And it's also going to let you know, which I'm really excited about, it's going to let you know what your essential nature is. And once you
Interesting.
understand those two things, and of course, inside the Freedom Code, I explain the wheels because on the wheel of fear, like I said, it has four components. There's the core trigger, and I told you mine, loser. And then you move to fear responses. So, do you mind if I give a little quiz right now,
Not one bit.
Mario? Okay, awesome. Because I think this is actually the first place that people can start working with this right now today. And I'm going to read a list of words. And if you do any of these things or feel any of these things, I want you to nod your head. Okay. Now, if you're able to, if you're in a safe place, go ahead and shut your eyes. And the reason I'm asking you to shut your eyes is because it just allows you to, get more connected to yourself. So if you're able, if you're in a safe place, go ahead and shut your eyes and nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things. Okay, here we go. Do you ever isolate? Do you ever pretend everything's okay when it's not? Do you ever hide out? What about compare yourself? Do you ever whine, judge, get defensive, secretly manipulate? Do you complain, suffer, wait and call it patience? Do you procrastinate? What about worry or struggle? What about blame? What about deflect or control? Do you ever feel bitter, powerless, self centered, entitled? Do you ever feel overwhelmed? What about resentful or dissatisfied? Are you a perfectionist, a people pleaser? Do you ever feel guilty or disappointed? Do you feel overwhelmed, ignored, annoyed? Like now, I'm reading all these words. Do you ever feel irritated? Or what about victimized? Okay, go ahead and open those eyes of yours. How you doing, Mario? How you doing with the quiz?
It's always surreal because the timing of this is impeccable. Irritated, overwhelmed. I'm happy that most of those did not trigger, but some of them I'm kind of like, yeah, from time to time. Other ones was, yeah, for sure. Um, the one right before manipulate.
Mm,
I'll
yeah.
go back, but there was one I'm like, not victimized, but um,
Entitled, bitter, resentful, disappointed.
yeah, disappointed. There's so many things that
Disappointed.
it's like it's less and less where it's like I'm disappointed with me, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like I want the best for people, and there's people I
Sure.
know and things I see, and it's like I just want the best for the whole situation. And
Yeah.
when it doesn't happen, I can think of multiple times over the last, let's say, few years,
Mm-hmm.
decades, where it was like I remember like literally losing my cool going, I'm the only one who cares and it doesn't even
Yes.
relate to me. It was someone
Yes.
else's family.
That's right.
It's like I
That's
want the
right.
best for them, but no one else even cared. Like,
Yes.
why am I
Yes.
caring? It wasn't even mine. It was a friend from high school.
Well, this is the thing. What you get to know is so once you identify your wheel of fear and wheel of freedom, what's really cool, Mario, is you start seeing everybody else's. And that friend of yours from high school was on their wheel of fear
Oh, big
because
time.
it wasn't safe to care. Like if I cared, then something even worse is going to happen.
And what
You
was
know.
worse is when they started going to the Wheel of Freedom, the
Hmm.
family just started.
And that's why I work with people to understand fear busters and fear junkies because in order for you to start moving from the wheel of fear to wheel of freedom, we want to actually support you in understanding what does a fear junkie look like and what does a fear buster look like, and oh, by the way, how to talk to each of them. And I want to go back to fear responses. So when I speak to an audience of whether it's 1,000 people or 100 people, I would say that over 90% have over 95% head nodding. So most people have most of the symptoms that I just talked about and what
Oh,
I call
really?
fear
That many?
responses. Yes, absolutely. So, because most people live on their wheel of fear way too much, right? Because remember, on the wheel of freedom, these things aren't happening. You're not disappointed on the wheel of freedom, but on the wheel of fear, you're disappointed. So, the fear responses, what I just gave that quiz about, are what we call our problems or our character flaws or the things we want to change about ourselves or that we get mad about ourselves, right? That we blame and shame ourselves for. But those are really just the responses to our core trigger. So once you see a fear response, instead of getting down on yourself, blaming yourself, shaming yourself, putting yourself down. Oh, why am I being overwhelmed? God, why do I always compare myself? I got to really quit doing that. I got to quit judging. I want to be a better person. That is all lovely, but a waste of time because those are just responses to that core fear underneath. So instead of trying to change the chairs on the Titanic, i.e., oh, I've got to figure out this overwhelm. I got to get this overwhelm solved. And again, sure, go take a class on overwhelm, knock yourself out. More skills and tools is awesome. And really, what's
But you still have to
driving
get to
that,
the core at some point.
that's right, that you still have to get to it because this is the thing about fear. The wheel of fear doesn't care if you are overwhelmed or irritated. It doesn't care. So let's say you go to overwhelm school and you learn how to, meditate and take deep breaths and, do all your trauma response work, which is, again, lovely. It's lovely, right? But fear doesn't care. It'll go, okay, so she doesn't want to be overwhelmed anymore. Okay, great. Let's make her disappointed.
Something new.
Let's be disappointed then, right? Let's bring it up as people pleasing, right? It doesn't care. So you're sitting here looking at your 5 biggest, fear responses that you think are what's wrong with you. And really, like you just said, it's just covering up. It's just the response to the deeper fear. So what we want to do is when we see a fear response, when we want to label ourselves bad, wrong, et cetera, not good enough, we just want to stop right there and go, wait a minute. This isn't a problem per se. This isn't a character flaw. This isn't a character defect. This is just a fear response. Okay? So this is just a fear response. If I can label it a fear response, if I can reframe it as a fear response, then what happens is it gives me a little space between myself and it. It creates that observer, the witness mentality, which then allows me to more quickly get on my wheel of freedom.
And not jump into victim mentality and entitlement
right.
and,
why me?
Why are you doing
me?
this to me again?
Why?
And
it dumps
around
us
when it happened and it's been 17 times in a row. It's not anyone doing anything to you. It's you doing it.
And if you do fear responses for a certain period of time, we all know what happens next, which is we dump down into our core negative feeling, which is our third spoke on the wheel of fear. And that core negative feeling, you and I have felt a million times. You and I felt that feeling that we don't want to feel a million times. And my core negative feeling is worthless. So when I do those fear responses, trying to dance around my fear, I end up eventually feeling worthless because none of those fear responses are moving me away from the wheel of fear. Instead, they're bringing me down right into it. I'm in the muck and mire with it. So I'm going to end up feeling worthless, which then, if I keep going, if I don't move on to my wheel of freedom, will put me in self-destructive behaviors. And all of us know when we self-destruct.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, and it's again, the hamster wheel, right? We just go round and round and round. And the good news is we can get off our wheel of fear anywhere. So we can get off it the minute we even think about that fear response. We can get off it in the middle of a fear response, after, in the middle of a feeling, right? We can get off it anywhere on that spoke and just move to that wheel of freedom, to that essential nature.
I love that. And it's fun too, because when you're not playing the old games anymore, I remember being stuck or feeling stuck, and it's like years and years and years, and then you break through it, and it's like I can look now and just go, the heck was wrong with me? Like it's not even like a thing. I'm like, that was like this whole the first decade, 18 to 28 was like just what is going on, and then wow, I'm glad you're doing this and helping people. I would love to hear a few hundred of them, and I know you have them, but let me ask you about your biggest success story.
Oh, God. Well, that's hard to...
I'll say that now because I've been asking biggest success story. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. What's your favorite success story?
So my favorite success story is working with a client one-on-one or a student in one of my classes. And they start being able to, on their own, move from their wheel of fear to wheel of freedom. So I don't care if it's about being able to speak up to a family member. I don't care if it's about talking in a more powerful way to a boss, if it's about going for their dream job. I mean, I've had clients come to me and say, I want to get married in a year. They hadn't dated for, 10, 20 years. They're married in a year. I've had people come to me and say, I got demoted in my job. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And within a year, he was president of that same company. Right. That's cool. I've had people go from one of my favorite stories that was in one of my TV episodes was this. She was a waitress at a restaurant. and she wanted to be the manager. And if you would have met her, and on the TV show, you know, everybody saw her, they're like, there's no way she's going to be the manager. No way. But at the end of 30 days, she became the assistant manager. And it's just really reframing them from the place of, this is who I am, and starting to help them understand the wheel of fear is a mechanism, not who they are, and that they're really their wheel of freedom. And if they can access that, anything's possible. I had one gentleman in my workshop say to me, "Oh, Rhonda, but I have to keep beating myself up because in the world of fearless living, you can't beat yourself up anymore. That's off the table." And he goes, "But I have to beat myself up because it motivates me, right? It keeps me going." And I'm like, "I know you think that. I know. I understand." And so he took the 3 days with me, found out his wheel of fear, wheel of freedom. And at the end, I said, "So, do you want to keep beating yourself up? Does it still motivate you?" He goes, "No, I now see how it's fear." And I go, "Yeah. So now what's possible for you?" And he looked at me and he said, "Anything's possible." And I go, "That's right. Because when you understand how fear and freedom work, it's no joke. Anything is possible for you. And you really do see that that's true."
Wow. I want to ask you about, well, I have a one specific question before we thank our sponsor, but you just gave me an idea for another one. Do you think this is more prevalent in teen college students just out of college getting started, or 50 plus executive CEOs? Maybe they're already successful by the world standards, this and that. Like, who's generally dealing with this more? Or is everyone just flush the same?
Everyone has a wheel of fear and wheel of freedom. It's part of our neurobiology. There's no getting away from it. Even the Dalai Lama has a wheel of fear and wheel of freedom. Even the new Pope has a wheel of fear and wheel of freedom. So everybody has it. It's just your awareness to be able to move from one to the other that
Okay.
makes it more, you make yourself more masterful. But I have worked with so many people in corporate America, or people who want to, open their own business or are in their own business and want to become more successful. I had one woman come to me and she had, she was making like, I want to say she was around like $150,000 a year. Within months of working with me, she made $1 million, right? So it's about taking away all the reasons you think it's not happening and actually showing you how simple it can be, and how your clarity, the way that you see the world, the lens. So neuroscience says the only way that you can actually change yourself, the only way, neuroscience says, is by changing your perceptions. That's it, right? You can sit there and change, do all your belief statements all you want, but beliefs are actually created from our wheel of fear. So again, you can do all the belief statements you want. And again, good work. I'm not, again, all that work is good, right? It's all good. Yay, it's all good. But those beliefs are
But
created from
it's
that
not
wheel of
enough.
fear. It's not going down deep enough, right? Because wheel of fear will just create another belief. It'll just make up another one, right? So it just keeps on. It's a never-ending story.
I
So
gotcha.
whether you are a successful entrepreneur or a successful corporate executive, I guarantee there's something in your life that isn't quite working well for you. Maybe it's your personal relationship, right? Maybe it's your relationship with your kids. Maybe it's, when you retire, who are you when you retire, right? You don't have that title anymore. So, and by the way, younger people. So, I do a workshop called Fearless Living, and I help people get their wheels of fear and wheel of freedoms. And I was invited to do a Fearless Teen one. So these,
Oh, fun.
kids, right? The Fearless Teens. And when I do this workshop live with adults, I give about an hour and a half for groups of 4, along with a coach, to uncover their wheel of fear, and then another hour and a half the next day for their wheel of freedom. Okay. Um, I scheduled the same amount of time for the teens. Oh, it's going to take them an hour and a half, breaking up into groups. They're going to need support. Okay, it took the teens like 15 minutes because they are not busy covering themselves, and they haven't built the structures that people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s have built around
So the
themselves.
older
The
you are, the more
stories.
you're boxing yourself in versus shifting.
If you're not open and aware, if you're not willing to change, right? So that's the thing. If you're somebody who's a self-learner, anybody listening to you right now, I bet is somebody who's open-minded and is a self-learner, right? They want to personally improve. They want to become better. So they're already, doesn't matter if they're 50, 60, 70, 40, it doesn't matter. because they're already have an open mind and they're already
They're
curious and
more
they've already
receptive to
done,
begin with. I got
they're
you.
more receptive. So finding their wheel of fear and wheel of freedom is going to be 100 million times easier because they're open to the idea that there is one, right? And then once you identify it, this is what happens over and over again when people, when we get their wheel of fear, is they go, their life flashes before them and they go, wow, I know now why I went to college, why I didn't go to college, why I got married, why I got divorced, why I took that job, why I didn't take that job. It's like everything,
Everything's making more sense to them.
everything makes sense. And now it's no longer regret or what did I do? What, what's my problem? Why did I do that? There's no more regret that can like literally roll off your shoulders.
I love it. Thank you for elaborating on that. I have one more question before we thank our sponsor and all this talk of wheels.
Oh,
I
what's
have my
that?
own, the wheel
Ooh.
of whatever, and yellow or black.
Well, I love yellow, so I'm gonna have to pick
Oh, you
yellow.
do you?
Yeah, I love yellow. Yes, I know. I love
Not
yellow.
bad. I like that.
If you
Thank you.
if you could see my living room, it's all yellow.
Um, I came up with this just for some fun anecdotal, whatever.
Hmm.
Literally, I was thinking of the name like 300 episodes ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't I just call it that? It makes total sense. Um, this has nothing to do with anything professional or space exploration or underwater exploration. What would you be more interested in?
Oh, ooh, that's a hard one. But I would probably, ooh, that's hard. That's really, really hard. But I'd probably say underwater.
Why?
Well, I love scuba diving,
Okay.
and I love the underworld is so unknown, just like space, and people think they know it. So I just love diving. So I'd be all underwater.
You are very similar to me. Do you like boating too?
I do love boating.
Okay,
Give me a
cool.
good sailboat. Give me a good sailboat.
See, this is why I had it. Like, all right, we're going to thank our sponsor and come back for the imperfect action round. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. And we are back with the imperfect action round. Rhonda, are you ready to take imperfect action?
Oh, yes, I'm on my wheel of freedom. Come
Uh,
on, let's do it.
yes. 3 questions, 60-second answer or
Oh,
less for you.
geez. Okay. Oh, boy.
Yeah, you said you wanted the short version. So, what is the fastest path to the profits?
To live on the wheel of freedom because you're going to trust yourself and you're going to have clear answers.
And it's
Confusion
way
is what
more
stops
fun.
us. Yeah, yeah, confusion stops us. It keeps us paralyzed. So when you're on your wheel of freedom, you can really hear your intuition, you can really hear your next move and you can trust yourself. And so then therefore more profits.
Number 2, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
They think something's wrong with them and they doubt themselves. It kind of goes back to the first one. They doubt themselves. And so they're in the wheel of fear, right? Going around and around and around. So it's all about stopping in the moment. Like if you're stopped, if you're confused, you got to get to clarity. Because once you have clarity, confidence comes, trust comes, your intuition comes back, you can hear it, and then you're going to know exactly what to do. And I promise you, you already know exactly what to do, but you're scared to do it. And therefore, confusion comes in. So don't buy into confusion.
I love that. Confidence is way more fun than confusion, but yeah, I
And it's
feel
part of the process. We all are going to get confused because we're all growing. But the thing is to know that you're not crazy being confused. You're not stupid being confused.
yeah, you're
It's
not alone.
because
I
you're
think that's a big one too. People are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm dealing with the same thing." And it's like these are successful people that
Yeah,
most people are emulating, and it's like you're all dealing with the same thing. That's
that's right.
uh, a very simple fix. I'm
I,
thinking of a
I do want
specific
to
scenario.
I do want to say one thing about confusion. Sometimes, many times we're in confusion because we're moving from one level of awareness to the next. We're moving
It's
from
just
one level of
new.
success to the
Yeah.
next. Yeah, it's new, so it's confusing. So again, I always say when I get confused, I always say, "Oh, this is going to be good on the other side, man. Oh, I'm going through some real big change right now.
Sure.
Yeah, come on, let's do it."
Okay, number 3. What's the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
Love them.
Okay,
Love them.
great
You know,
answers.
really, really love them.
All right, Rhonda, where would you like everyone to learn more?
Go to fearlessliving.org and I have a lovely free gift I would love to gift. Fearlessliving.org/risk, RISK, fearlessliving.org/risk, RISK. Put your name and email in, and you're going to get access to my course called Stretch, Risk, or Die, which is exactly what we all must do when we want to move from our wheel of fear to the wheel of freedom. And in this course, it's 45 minutes, 3 15-minute videos, people. And in the third video, I actually break down the wheel of fear. So you're going to see it in action. And in this class, I'm actually talking to a company. So you're going to hear their questions. You're going to get to know
Hmm.
the stretch, risk, and die. And you're also going to understand if you have a plan, dream, goal, what's been stopping you. So go over to fearlessliving.org/risk, RISK.
Well, thank you for that. I want to check it out myself. That sounds intriguing. And I love that you have it's an actual class you did with
Yep,
someone
actual
else.
class I did. And so you can go in and it's got worksheets, 3 videos, 15 minutes each, super easy, less than an hour. It's got templates. I take you through the whole thing of how to start moving through stretch, risk, or die so that you can move forward in whatever that thing is that you've been holding back on.
Well, thanks for all you've shared and congrats on the new book. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Be fearless.
All right, expert authority world. You know what I'm going to say because I've said it like 500 plus times, but I'm actually going to change it up because I want Rhonda to do one last thing that she did with me before we started. I think that was a real good high note. So I'm going to sign off and then I'm going to Rhonda, do you know what I'm talking about? The 60 seconds?
I do. I do the 60 seconds. Yes.
I don't think I've ever done this, but I'd love if we could end it on that. So expert authority world, we have another great episode here today. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day and participate in this and receive it. All yours,
So
Rhonda.
go. Thank you. Thank you, Mario. So go ahead and we're going to do something corny. We're going to put our hand on our heart, the corny thing, right? And I know we all feel corny doing it, but just do it. Go ahead and put that hand on your heart. And I just want you to listen very closely to the words I'm about to say. Listen very closely. Just take it all in. A nice deep breath. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just fear. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just fear. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just fear. Now let those words melt into your being, melt into your cells, melt into your bones, and then allow it to melt that shame right off you, melt all those hesitations and all that doubt, because you are more than enough. You are exactly who you need to be. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just fear. Deep breath in. So it is. Mm.
Thank you, Rhonda.
You're welcome.